Hello everyone, this is Sid here, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be drawing some characters from a movie that I watched earlier. So, if y'all do not already know, Inside Out 2 came out earlier this summer, and it was actually, I believe, a blockbuster hit because it got very impressive views and beat some world records. So I think it was very, very popular among everyone, really. And I went, and I really did enjoy it. I thought it was an amazing movie. So I felt inspired to draw some of the characters from Inside Out 2. So without further ado, let's get started. I'm not exactly sure if I'll be able to do all 5 of them in this video. I'll try to, but if not, I might end up splitting it up, so there might be 2 parts to this, but we'll just see. The first character that I drew was obviously Joy, because Joy, I think, is sort of like the leader of the group. But I love her so much because I feel like she's such a realistic character. Like, I know your characters aren't really supposed to break personality, because I'm a writer, so I know it's bad if your characters just like suddenly swap personalities halfway through the story, even if it's just for a tiny little moment. But I feel like for Joy, it's so realistic because, you know, she is of course in charge of like happiness and positivity and optimism, and she always has that sort of mindset about everything that goes on inside of Riley's mind, or inside of her personal life. But you know, sometimes things can just be incredibly hard, and it can be really, really hard for us to have that sort of look on things. So I think like 3 times throughout the story, which is actually not that much considering that the story is like an hour and 30 minutes long. But I think like a few times throughout the story, she just like breaks character, and you can see how like she's struggling to keep up this image on the outside. Because I know it's part of her like code embedded in her DNA to be this positive and optimistic person. But I also feel like she's doing it out of the kindness of her heart to help protect her friends and make them happier too. So she does so much to help her friends, but sometimes she just like can't take it, so then she just breaks. Which, I mean, I think that's just so realistic and relatable to a lot of people. I also feel like it's a great thing because she's supposed to be the leader of the group, but I feel like no one listens to her, which is also pretty relatable because, like, I'm the leader of my friend group, sort of-ish. I don't know, really. But no one ever really listens to me either, so I'll be, like, trying to tell them about something, or, like, a new idea, or, like, a new plan, and they'll just be, like, having their own little conversations, and I'll be like, guys, listen to me, but they'll never listen to me. So even though Joy is like the leader of her group, and I feel like she's honestly kind of like the queen of the kingdom, I guess, if Riley's mind is a kingdom. And in her own little emotion group, which I guess would make more sense because they're more of like her equals, they're like the princes and princesses of the world, they don't really listen to her. But like her own loyal subjects, I guess, the little ones that we see who are just sort of like construction workers most of the time, they don't listen to her either. It's like no one ever listens to her, which is like sad, but at the same time it's just so true. So it adds another layer of realism to her. I really like doing her design because I do think it's really cool. I also think it's interesting because Joy is really the only one who isn't like monochromatic. Like some of the other characters have like accents and stuff, like Disgust has like some accents of purple, and then like anger and fear have different colored clothes because that would just be hard to give them red and purple clothes. But Joy is of course like yellow, but she's also blue to an extreme extent because her hair is blue. And I just decided to give her lots of those blue accents because I think it really does add to her design and try to make her look as joyful as possible. I really like doing this exercise because I tried to give them the pose that would most describe their personality, so I gave her a very, like, excited pose. Because sometimes I do get stuck using symmetry a lot, so I tried to make all of my poses very dynamic and asymmetrical. The next one that I drew was, of course, Sadness, and I really like drawing Sadness too because she is, like, a different build than some of the other characters are. I like it because all of the characters actually have very different builds from each other. They all look very, very different, not only in terms of like color and like features of them, but just in terms of like physique as well. So Sadness has sort of like a short and stocky build, which I usually don't draw characters like that. I just draw like quote unquote normal characters Because I know like there's no like normal body type, but just like the most average body type, I guess. I hardly ever draw such like short and stocky or even like tall and lanky characters. I think I only did that for like the Hasbin Hotel. So this was a really good exercise for me in terms of doing that as well. And I plan to do a video on that in the future, but don't hold me accountable because there's tons of other things I have to do before then. I think in Inside Out 2, I feel like all the emotions were kind of dulled down because I can't really remember the plot of Inside Out 1 that well, but I feel like in Inside Out 1 they were like kind of annoying, but then in Inside Out 2 they're like a lot less annoying, which I mean is good for the people watching, but it's also like less funny and less like true to their emotions. So like I feel like in the first Inside Out, Sadness was like whining and carrying on about like absolutely everything, which like I guess isn't really sadness because like if you're sad you're not really whining, you're just like crying. But I kind of liked how she was like, oh my god, this is the worst, and she was just like bawling her eyes out. I thought it was pretty funny and depicted her character well. But they sort of kind of erased that element from the second Inside Out, which I kind of missed because I did like that part of her personality. But I just sort of gave her this like look on her face. I didn't want to draw her crying because I mean that would have been a good exercise too, but it would have been like hard. But I just sort of gave her like this sort of like kind of like disappointed kind of. She looks very disappointed. But I gave her these nice little freckles, and then I also drew these little teardrops underneath her eyes to just sort of give like that permanent sadness look. Like the teardrops have been tattooed onto her eyes, so they're like forever crying, you know? I don't know, I just thought that was interesting. A tiny little thing that I added. Because I tried to add some stuff, but then keep the design mostly the same. Then I drew Disgust, who is one of my favorite characters in terms of personality, just because I really like the girl boss characters, which I know are kind of like overrated, and usually they're not really well done. Usually they're like super duper annoying or super duper unrealistic or don't have enough flaws or are too perfect or too strong, all of that stuff. But I feel like Disgust is a pretty well done character like that, because I do feel like, I'm not really sure, because I feel like she's one of the less like used emotions. Like I know in my personal life I never really get disgusted unless I'm just like eating something that's bad, and like my friends say that I'm picky, but like I'm really not picky, so I think most of the stuff that I eat tastes good, so I don't usually get like disgusted. Because I know most people get like disgusted at like ideas or like things. Like my mom sometimes makes this expression at me, which is kind of like an expression of disgust when I say something kind of mean to her. But I never really do that. I just get like offended or like annoyed or whatever. But I sort of tried to make her look like judgmental, because I feel like she's sort of like that judgy personality, which is why like in one of the clips it's like Bree is looking at Riley this strange way, I guess. So then she's like trying to judge her look to see what she's like hiding. That's how they figure out that they're changing schools. But I guess she's just in charge of like being overly judgy of everyone else, which is kind of funny. And like I said earlier, she does have the nice like purple accents, which I thought was pretty cool. And I also thought it was nice how they had that little video game character who had like purple hair. So I was wondering if they did the purple hair on purpose because Disgust was really fond of the video game character. So like I wonder if they hid that connection between them in their appearances. If so, that would have been really, really cool. But I think that this video is long enough actually. But the other two that I did were Anxiety and Envy, because I tried my best to do the guys. I swear, I tried. Because I usually am able to do guys just as well as I do girls, but the guys, I feel like in Inside Out 2 especially, have like extreme body shapes and stuff. Like, low-key, no offense, Anger is literally just like a square, and then Fear, his eyes are like bulging out of his head. So like I wasn't really able to draw them. And then I didn't really try drawing Embarrassment, or I don't know how you pronounce the guy's name, like Ennui? I don't know. I did not try to draw Embarrassment or Ennui because, well, I thought it would be kind of good if I drew both of them, but I didn't draw Fear and Anger. So I just decided to draw envy and anxiety instead. So I drew all of the girls, so that's all that matters. Just kidding, if you're a guy watching my channel, don't be offended. But anyways, thank you so much for watching this video, and if you enjoyed it, please make sure to like and subscribe, because it always helps me out so much when you do, and I really do appreciate it. And the thing that it helps you with is it helps you to stay tuned and get notified every time that I post a new video, which should be very frequently because I've been posting videos like every single day for the past while. And I have lots of more videos to share, I have lots of more drawings, and I will be doing the part 2 of this like how I said earlier. So if you want to make sure that you don't miss the part 2, you can subscribe to me and stay tuned and get notified when I post the part 2. But anyways, I hope that you all have a great rest of your day and rest of your summer, and try to make sure that none of those emotions get the best of you. I know it's hard sometimes to have personal experience, but we all have good days, we all have bad days. The important thing is that we just make it through and go on to the next day. I love you all so very much. Always remember that, and goodbye! I'll see you later.